So this is John's new Viper snowblower, made by him in New York. The auger he has made in Ohio, but you can see how large the access is to the fan here. He's using this big latch that you'd find on a trailer. It does have the Viper trip edge on it. This is a 74-inch, so very similar to mine, except not a Normand. He has different mounting positions on here to run different sizes of augers. The fork pockets in it. This is just a tool for releasing the spring tension. He still didn't make it quick hitch compatible, but you can check out his hose routing here. This guide rotates with the chute, and then he's got it all on this bracket here. Unlike my snowblower, where they're on the springy hose saver. Come here, John. John doesn't want to talk about his snowblower, but supposedly all these parts you can get, the chain you can get at Tractor Supply.
Yep.
The bearings.
Yep.
Are standard size bearings.
Yep.
The shear bolts are just grade 5 quarter 20 bolts. And the sprockets, you can change the size of the sprockets
at the auger to speed it up or slow it down.
And you do that for different markets based on the type of snow they get. Who might want a bigger auger?
Colder, drier snow.
Okay, so like a fluffier snow, you'd want a bigger auger to move more volume?
Move more volume.
Okay.
Or keep the auger in. Put a smaller sprocket and it will go faster.
And this one's powder coated, but you don't want to offer that. You're going to offer painted or galvanized?
Galvanized, yep.
Galvanized. And this is a 74, but this year you're going to do 74 and 82?
And 92.
And 92. Okay. Nice. Looks good. Hey guys, just wanted to add on to the end of this video. This is my Normand 74-inch with the Viper cutting edge system on it. John actually put this one together for me. He did tell me I don't think he's going to continue to buy these new Normands or Cyclones and install the kits, but he did say he was going to be refurbishing some older units still with the Viper cutting edge. How they typically will rust out inside the pocket in the back of the snowblower. But I wanted to point out a few things that I noticed different between this Normand that I have and the snowblower that John's got. One thing I didn't mention in the video is on John's auger, these pieces here, which we had called flights or supports, they have some other name, but they matched the angle of the auger. So how these are really just kind of like added on. John's look much more factory. I don't really know how to explain that, but the piece of metal goes all the way to there and it matches the angle throughout this auger, and he says that helps reduce the amount of power it takes to rotate the auger. Another thing on John's snowblower, he's got fork pockets on each side, so that makes it really easy to service. I really liked the hose guide that he's got on it. And one of the reasons that I like that is because you can easily keep spare hoses, because you'll have 4 hoses that are all the same length. So you could easily have spare for those hoses that are all the same size. As well as this hose guide, it really kind of tears up the hoses anytime it gets loose. The large trailer latch on the door to the fan, it does look gimmicky, but you consider how many moving parts it takes out of this. You know, you have the bolts here that you need to loosen and adjust to get these latches to close tightly. You have the pins there. So while it probably doesn't look the best, I think functionally it is a good idea. It also in my mind, it appears to be much easier to work on John's snowblower when you can open up this whole area here to service the whole chain system, and there's no guard on it, and there's no, you know, metal in the front of this. It looks to be significantly easier to work on. You know, when you consider the Normand, you need to take this whole guard off. And I've had to try to work on some of these things when bolts come loose and stuff, and I just don't think it's that easy to work on. I remember the bolts I needed to tighten on these bearings. That was not very easy. I might have actually had to take the guard off to tighten the bolts for this bearing here. Another key difference I noticed is that the skid shoes on the side of the snowblower, on the Normand, they move up and down, and on John's snowblower they don't. But John's the side profile on it is much more similar to a Pronovost. In the Pronovost, you know, you have about that much material there, or like John's Viper snowblower, you only have about this much material. So the skid shoes on the side are much shorter in length, compared to the Normand is much longer. So the skid shoes are longer, and they need to be able to move up and down to keep the cutting edge on the ground when you come over, you know, changes in the driveway at the front of the snowblower. So I was thinking about that, and I don't believe that they move up and down on a Pronovost, although I did look at one today at the show, just not very closely. So trying to think if there's really any other major differences. It just really looks to be a lot easier to work on than this Normand does. He doesn't have a guard on the PTO, so very easy to change the shear bolt there. Not that you couldn't remove a guard off of this. And I did mention that it's not quick hitch compatible because, you know, like my snowblower has sat here in the same place since I took it off, because I do run a 3-point quick hitch on the tractor, and I don't think I would run it in the wintertime, but it is nice to be able to just come and pick up your attachments and be able to move them around without having to hook a chain on them and move them. So overall, I think John's got a good product. It's really honestly in the same exact price range as what I paid him for this snowblower with the Viper cutting edge and the installation on it. It's the same price. So I think if I get another snowblower, I would like to try what John has, just because I do love the Viper cutting edge. You guys can see it in my videos. When I come into a driveway that has not been serviced all season and they sign up late and they've been driving their car over it, even with poly edges, I can scrape that driveway down to bare concrete or asphalt in most cases. So that's really incredible for having a poly edge on it. And also, I love the poly. I won't get rid of the poly, because if you do go off of somebody's driveway, the poly does not rip the grass out. So that, to me, I don't have to do any spring cleanup. I didn't have to do any repairs, any of the driveways that I service. So that's a big deal. But also having the trip edge, I know a lot of guys really don't think it's that important, but I have so many driveways where the concrete heaves and you catch that lip on the concrete and the trip edge will trip. I mean, you can see that this trip edge has been hit pretty hard to bow this metal out here. So I think the trip edge is important. I'm not completely sold on Normand's sectional edge yet. And I did talk to Jim McKenzie today, and he said he does have something coming for the Cyclone that will be similar to the Normand sectional, but using more of a rubber instead of a spring system. So supposedly that will be a competitor, but we have yet to see anything from it. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching the video. If you have any thoughts on the new Viper snowblower, feel free to leave them below. I'm sure John would love to see him. I wanted to get him to talk more on camera because he knows everything about that snowblower, but he's a little bit camera shy, so hopefully he'll post some more videos of his own. Anyways, thanks for watching.